What is going on, everyone? My name is Another Radar, and welcome back to the Draft Viabilities. Last video we covered Gliscor, and this video I actually wanted to cover a mon that a very good friend of mine loves, and that is Eric. That I actually have a very different opinion on, and that is Exploud. Now, Exploud, I'm going to flat out say I dislike it in League format. That's only because there's not a whole lot it can do. And by that I mean it does one thing very well, and that's it boom bursts, choice specs, assault vest. It does a lot. However, the one thing that kind of sort of worries me about ever using Exploud is the fact that it has only like, I'm pretty sure it's base 68 speed. Base 68 speed. So what kind of really worries me about that is the fact that it's outsped by even other walls. So if you don't run a lot of speed investment, or they're running a very speedy wall, this can get outsped. And because it does have very good HP, a base 104 HP, but base 63 in defense, if it's a physical wall and goes for an earthquake, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. This thing is weak to priority. It worries me just what this thing can actually do. I personally have never used it, but I've seen a lot of people use it. And the one thing that I can honestly say I dislike about this thing, as a sweeper, I think it's terrible because of its speed stat. It's not good as a late game cleaner. It's good as a wall breaker. But if you have a steel type, then you rely on Focus Blast. Or if you want to run a physical set, you can, because its base attack and special attack are the exact same thing, but it doesn't even get superpower. It gets access to Surf, Focus Blast, Flamethrower, Overheat. It gets access to all this amazing moves, but once they're unstab or your Assault Vest, you're instantly not hitting that hard. And that's what worries me about this mon. I was kind of doing calcs with it, and I started to realize that Choice Specs Boomburst, yeah, that's a threat. That's scary AF. However, how many times in League format can you run the exact same set without your opponents punishing you? Without somebody being like, okay, he likes this set, I'm just going to run this, slap an Assault Vest on, I can live one and I can take it out. Or my special wall is designed specifically to take down Choice Specs Exploud and always switch in on it, and that is what scares me about Exploud. If you can set it up on a team to where you can whittle other things down and you have another really good wall breaker with it, then you're fine. However, I think having too many wall breakers is bad because wall breakers aren't fast. Like, look at Diggersby, Azumarill, Exploud. They're not fast Pokemon. They just hit stupid hard. And that's where I dislike it. Because normal stab, while yes, it's awesome because it only Ghost is immune to it and it can hit everything else, and they normally have a wide range of moves. This thing, it can be walled because it's only base 91, and I dislike that. I really do. Like, it tops out at modest at 157. I don't know. I just really dislike that. And it's hard for me to justify it, but this one is one that I couldn't personally say I like it because of this. I couldn't find anything that I really liked about it because its speed is so low. And because I can normally be okay with something being in a bulky wall breaker if it's super slow, if it has priority, like Azumarill, Diggersby. These things have priority, so late game, if you need to be choice banded and needed to stall speed things, lock yourself into Aqua Jet, lock yourself into Quick Attack, and you can get around things. But this thing, it's just so slow. You would need to have Thunderwave support, Tailwind support maybe. You would need to have things that can switch in constantly. You would have to have very good Volt Turn because this thing can't be switched in, can't be thrown in against other walls, because if it's a physical wall, it's not going to take the hit super well. If it's physically, like, if it's a wall that can hit physically, it's not going to take the hit super well, so you have to have things that can get slow Volt Turn or U-turn. It's good for punching a hole in one thing, in my opinion, because then it's going to take too much damage and then it's going to be just sacked off later on in the game. I could be completely wrong with this. This is just my personal experience and what I've seen with it. I personally really dislike this mon. If you do want to use this, I would strongly suggest you getting a clef key to go along with it. Specifically, a clef key because it's not weak to fighting. It's neutral to fighting. It also has screens, so you can swap in Exploud easier and it can take less damage from things. It also has the ability to Prankster Thunderwave things, so if you have a sweeper on the other side that is faster than your Exploud, you need to be able to slow it down so Exploud can come in and kill it, because that's what it's really good at, is killing things that it's faster than. It's hard for it to be faster than things. So if you can match this thing up with something like Klefki, get it behind screens. I also really like the thought of having this with a Cresselia because it's very bulky. You can always switch it in and out and always have a safety net of, okay, I need something to take a really good attack. Cresselia can do that for me. And I think that is one thing that this does need, is it needs a lot of bulk around it, so that way it can switch in and out and still do the damage that it needs to. Another thing that I think this needs, if you are going to want this thing as your wall breaker, you need a physical type to go along with it. Like, you need a Diggersby, you need an Azumarill, you need a Terrakion, you need something along those lines. You need a like a Nidoking, because I think that's a better physical wall breaker than a special wall breaker in my opinion. You need a really good wall core to take fighting types and set up screens and Prankster Thunderwave. And you also need a really good wall breaker to go along with it. And to make sure that you have all this set around just for an Exploud, I think that's a little far-fetched. Pokemon Pun was completely intended on that one. This is just a mon that I think you need to kind of baby it and kind of sort of like walk it through to get it in to kill something, if that makes sense. And that's really depressing because I love Exploud as a Pokemon. I just think it's really not ideal to have in draft format. Ultimately, the main thing that I think is holding Exploud back is its speed. And because of that, and because of the insane amount of hand-holding you have to give to it, in my opinion, I'm actually going to give this thing a C- for viability, just because it takes a lot to go along with this thing. Granted, if your opponent doesn't have a very good special wall that can resist normal type attacks, you're golden. But if you send this thing in and it's slower than what's already in, you're going to take a lot of damage, and then that instantly puts your wall breaker on the chopping block. So it's hard to say how well this thing could actually do. You just have to make sure you have the team to build around it, and that's very difficult to do in draft format in general, in my opinion. You need to have things that can be versatile every single week, not just Choice Specs or Assault Vest. This thing can be physical sometimes, but it doesn't have a good physical move pool, and I think that's where this thing lacks. But ultimately, I know some people have had great success with this mon, but they also had the team to go along with it, which, by the way, whenever I said that Eric loves this mon, he also had a Klefki and a Cresselia on the exact same team, and Exploud was amazing because he got Prankster Thunderwave, screens, got switch-ins to Cresselia, and it was great. That's the type of thing I'm saying. You need to be able to build around this, and that's very difficult to do. But that's going to be my viability rankings on Exploud. It's kind of hard for me to say that this is probably the one that I dislike doing the most, just because I know that a lot of other people think differently about this, and I think that other people are going to really disagree with me, but that's okay. This is all opinion based. If you could leave your opinions down in the comment, I would really appreciate it. For me, it would really help me out. Also, before you go, make sure you leave a like, and also make sure you guys leave some suggestions for some viabilities down in the comments below. I'm always taking suggestions for it and making an ongoing list of things I should do. But I'm going to go and get on out of here. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.